Hello and welcome. My name is Peace Mitchell and I'm co-founder of Women Changing the World Press. Before we begin, I would like to pay my respects to the traditional owners and elders of the land that I live and work on, people of Mamu country in North Queensland. And I would also like to acknowledge and pay my respects to elders and traditional owners right across Australia and the Torres Strait. Well, today we are here to celebrate the launch of our new book, Begin It Now. And to celebrate, I have some of my fabulous co-authors joining me. First, I would like you to please join me in welcoming Jessica Hansen. Please join me on screen, Jessica.
Hi, Peace.
Hello.
Amazing to see you.
So good to see you as well. Now, Jessica, for people who haven't met you before, I would love you to introduce yourself and tell us a bit about you and the work that you do.
Absolutely. So I am Jessica Hansen. I'm the CEO of an international medical nonprofit called Alliance for Smiles. I'm actually in the office right now. And we provide surgeries mostly for children, but we do provide it to all ages. People who have cleft lip and cleft palate around the world, mostly in Africa, Asia, Central and South America. We have incredible volunteers that go and provide life-changing and sometimes life-saving surgeries for thousands of these children. And I have been in this field for a very long time. I realize the book says 20 years. It's been over 25 years. I've been in international humanitarian aid work. I started in the late 90s and early 2000s working in anti-human trafficking in Southeast Asia and East Africa, worked in refugee camps with the United Nations and a lot of nonprofits, and have done education, microfinance, health. I can definitely see the interconnected nature of doing good in many ways for as many people as we can around the world, how we're all interconnected and how it's all interconnected. I also do fun things on the side, like I'm the host of the Humankind podcast, and am on the board of a handful of really cool nonprofits doing various work around the world.
Oh, it's amazing and such incredible, impactful work that you are doing in the world, Jessica. Now, your chapter in Begin It Now is called To Live Fully in Each Moment. Can you tell us why you chose this title for your chapter?
Oh, absolutely. I actually say this phrase every single morning over coffee with my amazing partner, Kevin. When we wake up, it's a Thich Nhat Hanh quote. So we quote Thich Nhat Hanh, but we really ground ourselves in it to start the day every day. And the quote goes, waking up this morning, I smile. 24 brand new hours lay before me. I vow to live each moment fully and to look on all beings with eyes of compassion. And we always add the phrase at the end, especially ourselves, because that's something that we need, is to not be as hard on ourselves when we make mistakes or anything like that, to really look at ourselves with compassion. But I think the reason that it connected with the theme of the book about begin it now is to really live fully in each moment, is to be deeply present, to not be ruminating about the past, to not be worrying too much about the future that it's causing inaction, but to really be grounded in the present moment. And I can tell you that the looking on all beings with eyes of compassion helps in my work tremendously. But it also, I was thinking, even like on long plane rides when someone's kicking the back of your chair, or someone cuts in front of you in a line or something like that, to look at all beings with eyes of compassion and know you don't know what kind of day they're having. You don't know who they ran into 5 minutes ago, or what's going on in their world. And so that quote as a whole sort of helps guide the way that I approach every day and everything that I do.
Incredible. I love that philosophy. Now, Jess, in your chapter, you talk about the fact that there was a point in your life where you were having seizures unexpectedly, and they weren't actually medically related. They were more to do with mental health and trauma. Can you tell us more about this and the work that you did to get through this?
Absolutely. I knew very little about seizures at all prior to experiencing them myself. I had one, and amazingly, I was in a health care facility when it happened. And so I thought it was a fluke incident. And then the second one happened on a plane ride, which I describe in my chapter. And I was with a coworker, I was on a work trip. And he was able to sort of tell me what happened in the lead up to it and what my body went through, which I was then able to describe. And the doctor wanted to do an MRI, did the MRI, saw that there was no physical reason for these seizures, but recommended that I see a therapist because it may be PTSD induced. And that made sense to me because I had worked with survivors of torture and survivors of gender-based violence and worked in conflict and post-conflict zones for my job. Um, and that was definitely part of it. I think we are starting to realize more and more the secondary traumatization that can happen to people that care for others as they're experiencing trauma, but also various traumas that I had experienced when I was young that I didn't really realize would have any sort of lasting impact. I just thought they were part of life, and was a normal functioning person, so nothing to worry about. But those things compound over time and created things that would trigger inside of me that would cause this very physical, fear-based response. And so talk therapy helped with that. A lot of gentle curiosity and exploration into the roots of my own experiences when I was young, and also the way that the work that I do impacts me, helped tremendously in being able to, as I talk about in the chapter, release some of the triggers, own my fullness of my story. And as I did those things, I was able to more fully see my own worth, my own beauty, and being able to survive difficulty, um, and just release some of the more negative aspects of it. And I have not had a seizure since my second seizure, which is amazing. I can often feel them if I'm in a situation that's putting me close to them again. But I think it is incredible the way that self-healing and creating safe spaces for yourself and others can help people get through something so physical and so jarring. It can be healed by healing yourself internally, which is really beautiful.
Mm. I love that so much. And thank you for sharing that. I think a lot of people carry underlying trauma in all sorts of different ways and don't realize that actually you can do the work to heal and get better, and it can change your life. So thank you for sharing that. Now, you talk about the importance of following your bliss in your chapter. Can you tell us about this and what it means to you?
Absolutely. I love Joseph Campbell. I think you do too, Peace. And he talks a lot about following your bliss. And in this chapter, there's sort of two examples of it that I give. The first is the opening of the chapter where I'm talking about following my inner guidance to do something that I'm not sure I'm smart enough or strong enough to do, but just following that path that's calling to me. And instead of thinking, why me, thinking, why not me? Why don't I try? And just by doing that, being able to make huge steps that led to a really beautiful, amazing career. And I'm so grateful that I was able to follow the bliss instead of being held back by worry or doubt. And then in the next section where I really talk about following bliss, I'm further along in my career and I'm weighing what is still calling to me, which at that point was taking an unpaid job in a rural area of southwestern Kenya where I didn't know anyone, where there weren't paved roads or regular electricity, and moving out there to work in a project for free for quite a long time versus staying in a life that my friends and family and people around me sort of told me was what success was. Having a nice apartment in Washington, D.C. and a fancy job title, at a very well-known and respected institution. Um, and really being able to hone in on what my internal guidance was telling me would give me the greatest, richest life experience, and learning to define success and happiness on my own terms instead of following ideas that other people held or were laying in front of me as what success and happiness were supposed to look like. And I feel so grateful. I think each of us have that inner calling for ourselves, but sometimes we're raised in cultures or families or communities that are pointing to money or what you own or what your job title is or how many kids you have or if you have a white picket fence around your house as what success is. And I hope everybody is able to just release all of that and really listen inside of themselves for what their personal individual calling for their lives is and follow that bliss.
I love that. I love that so much, Jessica. Well, thank you so much for being here today. I've really enjoyed chatting with you, and thank you for sharing your story in Begin It Now. It's a really beautiful chapter, and I know that it's going to be so inspiring for our readers to read your story and learn more.
Thank you so much for having me. And the book is incredible. I hope everybody gets a copy because the stories are changing and transformative and beautiful.
They absolutely are.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Thank
Jess.
you so
Sinya.
much.
And thank you, everyone who's tuned in today. You can grab your copy of Begin It Now at wcwpress.com. All right. Well, we will see you again next time. Thank you so much for being here, Sinya and Jessica. I've really enjoyed chatting with you. And thanks, everyone. We'll see you again soon. Bye for now.
Thank you.